Yeah, thank you, Gottfried, and a good afternoon also from my side. My name is Christian Schober, and together with my colleagues from the Unit Private Sector and Development at ADA, we are delighted to present to you our Business Partnership Challenge now. What we have planned for the next 30 minutes is to provide you with general information on the call for proposals. Afterwards, we will explain what is meant with the inclusive market system development approach before then heading on to operational details, give information on the selection criteria, as well as provide you with tips and tricks regarding the application and information on handouts and templates. So that would be the agenda for today. But before, let me just quickly introduce you to ADA. We are the operational unit of the Austrian Development Cooperation. So we are the unit that implements the strategies developed by the Austrian Foreign Ministry. We implement programs and projects together with public institutions, with civil society organizations, with companies. That's what especially our unit does, and with scientific institutions. We have coordination offices in priority countries. I will show you later on where we have the offices, which help us in coordinating the projects and to monitor the efficient use of our funds. Our three major concerns are combating poverty, promoting peace, and protecting the environment. And at the moment, we are funding projects and programs with a total of 557 million euros. And the goal is, of course, to improve living conditions of people in developing countries. But now let's head on with our business partnership challenge. So what is the goal of our business partnership challenge? Hopefully, or maybe some of you have already made themselves familiar with some general information on it. So what is the goal? The goal of all our programs and projects in this call is to make a sustainable contribution to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. And of course, again, as I said, to improve the living conditions of people in the global south. Eligible for applications are enterprises, associations, foundations, and chambers headquartered in the European Economic Area or in Switzerland. For this whole call for proposals, total sum of 5 million euros is earmarked. However, for each project, 500,000 to 1 million euros is expected. But here it's important to know that we expect at least 50% of the total project costs to be covered by the applicant. The duration of our projects in this call usually is about 3 to 5 years, and the application deadline is on June 3rd. So there's still time to apply and to gather information and also to contact us. As I said, where do we expect that projects take place? In general, projects are possible in all countries that are listed on the DAC list of ODA recipients. However, for projects that are settled in ADC priority countries, which you can see on the table below, however, I must say Bhutan is no longer an ADC priority country since it emerged as middle income country. At the moment, priority countries are Burkina Faso, Ethiopia, Uganda, Mozambique, Armenia, Georgia, Moldova, and also Palestine. And they also get extra points when they apply for a grant. For our applicants, prerequisites are that they have, as I said, headquarters in the European Economic Area of Switzerland, that they are in existence for more than 3 years. So startups are excluded and not the target group of this call. And what we expect are also that administrative, technical, and financial capacities are available at the company to carry out the project successfully. And again, we particularly encourage Austrian companies or companies with a clear connection to Austria to apply to this call, since we are an Austrian Development Cooperation. Of course, it is possible that also consortia apply for funding. That means that at least one partner has to meet the requirements stated before, but additional partners are qualified to participate when they can provide contributions of monetary value, and those contributions would then also be considered as own contributions. So what I meant with at least 50% of the total project costs are to be covered by the applicant or applicants, in this case as a consortium. In this case, please consider that a consortium declaration must be signed by all partners. Additional requirements. So we now head on from the requirements from the applicants to, let's say, from a content perspective, what we expect. What we want to see is that with the projects we fund, an additional benefit is made. So which means that with projects or programs that have already started, we cannot provide a grant with something that has already been done in the past and it's just a continuation. So there has to be something new that would not have been happened without our grant. In this sense, we can also not fund things that are prescribed by law, for example, when it comes to environmental laws or stuff like this. So it really has to go beyond. What is meant with long-term commitment? As I said, the projects are expected to last for 3 to 5 years, but that should be just the starting point of a longer commitment in the partner country. So it's not that we want to see projects. Of course, it can happen after 5 years, things have not worked out as planned, but the goal would be that after our grant, our support, the company can continue to work there and operate there. The entrepreneurial benefit has to be obvious. We are from the unit private sector and development, so of course the project has to have a benefit for the company, but of course, and of course also for the partner country and from a developmental perspective. And what is meant with responsibility and own contributions, as I said, at least 50% of the project costs are to be covered by the applicant, and it is it is your project. So you are the ones to implement it, to monitor it, and we are just supporting you financially and sometimes also thematically, but it is your project and you're the ones to carry it out. And at least the developmental impact. So talking about SDGs, the projects that we fund, they must contribute to them, of course. And what we want to see that each of our projects must or do include SDG 8, meaning decent work and economic growth, and SDG 9, so industry, innovation, and infrastructure. This means then in the case of SDG 8, for example, that the number of decent jobs created from women and men. So that would be an indicator that you say with the project you want to create 50 new jobs, especially for women. Let's put it this way. Indicator for SDG 9 as an example, how many local companies and institutions are involved in the project, but also contributions to other SDGs are possible. It's just that 8 and 9 is a must, and everything that comes along with it, for example, SDG 2, when it comes to agriculture, the amount of women or men with improved income, and the other indicators. It's just for you, because for many it's maybe not so obvious what is meant with contributing to SDGs. Those are just exemplary indicators to help you how you can contribute with your project to them. And with that being said, I would hand over to my dear colleague Susanne, who is among others our expert on private sector development. Please, Susie.
Thank you, Christian. My name is Susanne Thiala-Fauré, and I'm the advisor for private sector development, or to be more specific, for inclusive market system development here in ADA. So I'm also part of the team private sector and development here in Vienna. Can you switch to the next slide? Yeah. If you read the description of the call and the documents, you already came across this inclusive market system development, and I'm now taking 2-3 minutes to explain the most important aspects of this approach, or methodology, you can also call it. What is very important is that before you plan the interventions in detail, that you analyze the local context and the market system you find when you start with your project. If you don't know much about it, you will not be able to find the right entry points for your project. Building on this, you can define your own role in this market system or sector. The applicant in this case is you, the company that applies for a project with ADA. So we find it very important that you are aware of the role you have in the system. What is your function? What are you offering? Is it a product? Is it a service? Who else is offering maybe other services that come with your product, and so on and so forth. The more comprehensive this analysis and definition of your role is, the easier it will be for you to define then the intervention and the activities. Next thing which is very important is the description of desired changes. What do we mean by that? You have to know what you want to achieve with your project. What are your goals? And as my colleague already explained, this is always about your goals as a company, so economic wise, but also the goals in the sense of the tasks of ADA as the development agency of Austria, meaning where do you have an impact in the local region or in the sector where your project operates. And then only then you can start describing of how your project will contribute to the systemic change that you think is useful for yourself and also for the local people or the local sector as it is now. Next. I was talking about market system development all the time without explaining what a market system is. What you see here is the so-called donut that shows that if you look at the center of this graph, you see the core of a market, which is of course composed by supply and demand. But what is really important to consider is that that is not a finished market yet, because it takes so many things to make supply and demand meet. And when I say things, I mean supporting functions on the one hand, and rules and regulations on the other hand. So in the upper part of this graph, you see examples for supporting functions that need to be taken into consideration consideration when you plan for your project and the intervention. And the lower part names a few examples of rules that can be already there, or maybe they're still missing and you need to create them and implement them. And what I want to point your attention to is this last example in the rules part, which is called informal rules and norms. That is also a very important aspect of all of our projects, because if you're not aware of informal rules in a society, in a sector, in a business, then it will also be difficult to do the right things at the right time with the right people. Target groups is another term that we use and that we like to use in development cooperation. But what do we mean by target group? It can be person, it can be a group of persons, it can be a country, a region within a country, or a region that covers more than one country. What is important is that all these people or regions have an advantage from the project. That is what we call a target group. So we distinguish between direct and indirect beneficiaries also. Direct beneficiaries are the ones, people or companies or whoever, who benefits at first hand in the short term from the intervention, from the activities you set with your project. And indirect beneficiaries are those that benefit in the long term, or as the name already says, indirectly. So not immediately from your activities, but only in, so to say, second phase. Or you can also define target group as those persons who should or will change their behavior through the interventions implementation, because that is what also development cooperation is always about. You need to make people change their behavior in order to change something in the system in a sustainable way. And that is always the goal. Is there? Yeah. And that's it for now from my side. Thank you.
Now I will continue with operational details. My name is Maximilian Zangl. I'm program manager also in the unit of private sector and development with the focus regions of East Africa and the Western Balkans. So let's just continue. I think these are maybe the next few slides will maybe answer some questions already. So when we look at the budget or the project costs, there are a few points we have to keep in mind. All this information is also available in the guidance on budget preparation. I would also urge you to read the general terms and conditions that are also posted in the annex. But in general, the budget must include the entire project costs, not only the costs that incur to you or to ADA. This is regardless of the portion financed by ADA. In-kind services and benefits cannot be included in the budget, or if they don't have a cash flow, or if there's no calculation behind the budget position. Another important point is that we're not including lump sums in our budget. These are best estimates of the actual costs that will occur during the project. It is also important that for every individual cost item, there is a corresponding receipt and a corresponding entry in the accounts. But this has to do with accounting standards as well. We also have further information on our accounting and auditing standards also posted on our website. And very important, the budget has to be drawn up in euros. when you set up the budget and we're already through the application process, what can you expect from the disbursements? We disbursements can be made on an annual basis. If there's sufficient financial health within the company, we can even do a first disbursement after signing the funding agreement, or essentially with signing the funding agreement. And all the other disbursements will then be made on the basis of the annual interim narrative reports and the audit reports, and an actual need for funds report. But for all this, for the reporting and narrative reports, financial reports, we also have information on our website. And I would focus more on the application right now than to think about which kind of disbursement options you're going to choose, because this will be established in the dialogue with us. For reporting, as I said, we have semi-annual reports and annual reports. Generally, for the semi-annual reports, we only expect narrative reports. That means reporting on the indicators and on the progress of the project. For our annual reporting, we expect an audit of the project, of the reporting time, which would be, in the ideal circumstances, a year. But also a narrative report as well. So semi-annually, we would have a narrative report. Annually, we would have a narrative report and an audit report. What's very important is that both of the reports show the use of the grant monies provided from ADA. Then I would move over to selection criteria, talk a little bit more of what the process will look like. So we have a two-step process. In the first step, we will look at formal criteria, and the second, we would look at content. For the formal criteria, it's important that the application is drafted in English, that the deadlines are met, all the documents are complete, and the SDGs 8 and 9 have been addressed in the short proposal. This is an excerpt from the invitation, but this gives you also an overview of the documents that are needed to have a full submission, and the submission that we will also look at. This is a little excerpt to the formal criteria as well, because the financial health form, there have been some questions around it. The financial health form gives us the opportunity to see how healthy your company is financially. It has to be completed and signed by an external or internal auditor or a tax consultant. So it gives us more reassurance on the validity of the information. Please, this is important, send it to us signed as a PDF form and as an Excel document as well. Only the PDF form has to be signed. This has to do with our system. We can process the Excel in our database better. And under point 3, within the financial health form, this is primarily for NGOs, because our financial health form is the same for all sorts and forms of organizations. For companies, you may include previous grants and funding, but it's not necessarily to really go into detail on your funding. Then after we processed the formal criteria and the process is complete,
we will look at the qualitative assessment. Please read through the quality criteria in our invitation carefully. They're published on the point 4.2, and you can see each indicator or each criteria which your project or your proposal will be graded on. We will grade them on a scale from 0 to 100 and rank them accordingly. Also see the slide on the inclusive market system development, because this is also a big part of the content criteria of the qualitative assessment. There are extra points, and which we will include for project members or partners, companies that are registered in Austria or have offices or have a strong relation to the Austrian business, the private sector, and projects that are related to our focus sectors in our focus countries of the Austrian Development Cooperation, and also least developed countries. Here I want to go through also a little bit of the handouts, templates, and some useful tips that we thought of. We know there's a lot of handouts and a lot of to read through, but we felt like we can give you enough information to complete the short proposal or the application on your own. From our perspective, all of these documents are important. I just wanted to cluster them a little bit. The handout on the inclusive market system development is very useful for the content of your project. The budget preparation, as it says, is very useful for the budget. Also, the contract, the general terms and conditions, and the guidance on expenditure verification will help you to understand how ADA works better, and to help you with the budgeting as well. The most important or the most useful tips that we want to give you is read all the documents carefully, and we are here also for questions. We will gather all the questions and publish them anonymously online as well, but read through them carefully, because there are a lot of answers and a lot of information packed in there as well. As I said, you can send us your questions. We will publish them online continuously, but at least 14 days before the deadline. Another tip is also regarding budgeting is please consider carefully the regulations related to employees, especially employee contracts. Is this a service contract? Is this the employee of a company? External service providers, procurement rules, and travel expenses in the general terms of conditions. There is also a lot of information, as previously said. These are also we included this in the presentation. These are our QR codes where you can find our usual business partnership program and more information on the call. Thank you for your attention, and I think we now have enough time to start our Q&A session. I will moderate it a little bit and go through the questions you've already posted during the presentation. I would invite Gottfried to answer the questions as well. So, Gottfried, we are not able to hear you.
I'm sorry. Many thanks for your questions. We're trying to answer them right now. If we can't do it, maybe if there are things we have to consider, then you will find the questions and the answers on our website. We are going to publish also your questions and the answers. Yeah. We got some questions from Q&A.
Yes, so we have a lot of questions about NGOs. What
sorry
can be
to
the
interrupt
part?
you. First of all, I have to say, because I think that's an important one. There was the question why is there is no French translation. Yeah. As a matter of fact, this call is being published in English, and all the process will be done in English. We don't have the option to do this in other languages. So I'm very sorry, but I see there were many questions regarding if we can do this in French. It's not feasible in this setting. Yeah, we can't do it we cannot do it in French and in German either. So let's get started with the first question. Yeah.
So the first questions, we have some questions about NGOs. For example, what role can NGOs play in the project? Are they able to be consortium partners? Is there possibility to have a corporate partner and an NGO partner within one project? Do they have different status when it comes to applying?
I mean, this was the first question. Interesting to know the role of NGOs. And also the question is if NGOs are encouraged to send your application.
Mm-hmm.
I think to be clear about this, we are talking about private sector and development. And first of all, we are addressing private companies, enterprises. This is here the main target group of this call. But it's clear that also NGOs can apply, but it's not a typical call directed to NGOs. I think this is important to mention here. Yeah, if we look at the applicants, I mean, it is also in the invitation to the call. Eligible applicants are enterprises, but also voluntary associations, NGOs, non-profit foundations. They are also it's also for them possible to send their applications. Yeah. But it's clear that when we look at the project proposals, it's about a business development. I think all the things you explained before in your presentation. Yeah.
Okay.
If NGOs can be partners in a consortium, yes, they can. They can be in a consortium. They would be applicants. That means that you would have several partners or members, consortium members in one consortium. Could be a company together with an NGO. That means they would have all the same conditions, and they would have to sign this consortium declaration that you can find among the annexes. Another option would be that an NGO is part of a project as a subgrantee. We also published an information about what does it mean to be a subgrantee in a project. That means that the applicant, enterprise, for example, would allocate parts of the grant to a third party, in this case, maybe to an NGO, and so that the NGO would carry out parts of the project as the subgrantee. So this would be a different type of setting here. But that means that the applicant is also responsible for all the actions or omissions of the subgrantee. I mean, you can see all the information. We are going to publish this also on the website, so you can see the information then in a written form. Yeah.
Thank you, Gottfried. So
Okay.
the next question would be, is it possible to co-fund the project through another ongoing project, meaning instead of 50% cash co-financing, the ADA project would be a part of a greater program, and that would suffice as co-financing?
I mean, first of all, we only can finance new projects, not ongoing existing projects. This is not feasible in this setting. Yeah, and projects are primarily financed by the applicant, and then ADA may provide up to 50% of the project cost to this project. If you look at the budget template, I think then it's much clearer, because you can see the whole cost structure, all the costs involved, all what is needed to implement your project. And then in the lower part, you will see how this project will be financed. That will be part of your contribution as applicant and part what this ADA is providing for this project. Own contribution means own contribution, that it has to be provided by the applicant and not by other donors or other projects.
Thank you, Gottfried. The next question would be, what project start date should be expected or planned?
I think this depends very much on the whole process. We are expecting to get the applications, the grant applications by 3rd of June. And then we will need some time to get the selection process. This is also part of what we described in the invitation. I think starting in fall 2024 should be feasible, yeah. But it depends very much also on your own planning as an enterprise, NGO, or a project implementer, yeah.
So the next question relates to an answer you've already given, Gottfried. Do local partners have to be part of a consortium, or can they also just be sub-grantees? And do they have to submit an FHF, the financial health form, and other documents as well?
I mean, there are, I think, 3 questions that are related. First of all,
yeah,
there might be different types of constellation settings in a project, and this is also what has to be decided by the project, by the applicants and the project implementers. As I mentioned before, the local partner can be part of the project of the consortium. That means that the local partner would be part of the consortium, would be applicant with all the obligations and rights that an applicant has. Or the second constellation in this case would be to be a subgrantee. We explained this already. And there would be a third option. This would be that the local partner is being contracted as a service provider. But then you would have to look into the general terms and conditions, point 1, point 3, point 3, where you will find all the rules you have to follow if you are contracting a service provider. Regarding the financial health form, this depends on the amount, which part of the grant will be used by the local partner. If it's more than 100,000 euro, if the local partner takes more than 100,000 euro, then we would need the financial health form also from its side, yeah.
Thank you, Gottfried. And there are a lot of questions regarding their own contribution. Maybe you can again explain what we consider own contribution, what a company has to do or has to show what that it is considered own contribution, and maybe explain a little bit more about how ADA deals with their own contribution.
I mean, as I mentioned before, own contribution means that this is the part of the project costs that is financed by the applicant, as it says, the own contribution, and not financed by a third party, because the question was here if it could be taken from another project or maybe from another donor. This wouldn't be possible. This wouldn't be accepted. The own contribution means that this is the funds that are provided by the applicant, and that this is also provided from a private from the private sector, from the private side.
Thank you. And then maybe add on to what Gottfried said about in-kind contributions and own contributions. In-kind contributions, as explained in the presentations, there has to be a monetary value to the in-kind contribution, so it can be included in the budget.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So
that means, just to clarify this again, that means in-kind services or benefits in kind, that do not involve any cash flow can't be considered part of the budget. This is really cash based.
So the next question is the two questions. The first one is it correct to assume that this is a one-stage process? And the second question is there a set number of projects that the ADA is looking for?
I mean, the first question was if this is a one-stage process. I mean, we also explained in our invitation the different stages of this call. That means first we would get the applications, grant applications, short applications. We have to check if the formal criteria are met. There's also a list of what has to be presented so that we can check if the formal criteria are met or not. And then the applications will be presented to a committee that will select the best grant applications, yeah, and there will be a ranking, and this will be for us the best project, the best proposal will be financed then. And as already mentioned, we have this amount of 5 million euro that will be used for this call. And then in the second stage, we will inform the applicants that are on the short list, yeah, to send us a full application, also together with comments that will be made by members of the committee or by other of our colleagues. I mean, you know that there are some feedback loops in ADA when we are doing quality assurance.
And the second question is there a set number of projects that ADA is looking for?
I'm not sure about this question. What
I think I can answer
number?
That is if we have a fixed number of projects that we're looking for. I think this relates to the question to the answer that Gottfried gave us with the ranking. We have 5
I mean,
million.
how many projects can be financed?
Yes.
Okay.
We have 5 million euros.
It's doing math. I mean, 5 million,
yeah.
and we're allowed to give between 500,000 euro and 1 million euro to one project. So that means depending on the size of the project that will be submitted, yeah, we will be able to finance between 5 and 10 projects. I mean, this depends very much on what is being submitted to us now in the next month.
Okay. Let me look in the chat as well. Because there have been questions posted in the chat as well.
There was a question, can you please send the presentation to a certain email? Yeah, we can do that, but you will find all the documentation, the presentation then on our website, yeah?
There is a question.
Excuse me, there's another one. Can we ask for a grant that is lower than 500,000 euro? Now, in this case, we have this established minimum amount of 500,000 euro grant money. That is the limit between 500,000 and 1 million. Yeah, so that means that all the projects will be in this range. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so there are some questions in the chat as well. One question is what are the projects considered to be priority, or what are the priority projects for consideration?
Priorities in terms of what type of SDGs should be tackled. I mean, I don't. Do you have more information about this question?
No. What I can add to this is also said in the presentation. Everybody has the quality criteria is published in the invitation, and this will be applied to everybody the same way. The projects we are looking for are projects that are tackling the SDGs 8 and 9, and include the the methodology of the inclusive market system development approach. Of course, there are some bonus points for companies that are registered in Austria or have a strong relation to the Austrian private sector, and or work in the focus sectors of the Austrian focus sectors and focus countries of the Austrian Development Cooperation.
I mean, there's more information in the invitation about what type of objectives we would like to see. Also regarding the indicators, I mean, this is about creating jobs, generating income, also support the local business environment, local SMEs. Also regarding generating income from sustainable agricultural production, and all the field, all what is related to vocational education and training. This is very interesting in this endeavor. Yeah, obviously, gender equality. I mean, you can see it in the invitation. I mean, we had some list of SDGs. Yeah, that might be prioritized in your proposals. Yeah.
Yes, as far as I can see, we don't have any new questions coming up.
I think there was one. Just give me. There was one question. I'm not sure. It was about European regulation. Can you are activities that comply with European regulations eligible? I don't know exactly what type of regulations. What is the background of this question?
I mean, generally, we we have to comply with European regulations on multiple levels. So I think it's depending on the context for this question. There is I can see one more question in the chat. Can I think this relates to general interest in where the project can be implemented and who can apply. So as also mentioned in the presentations, applicants have to be registered in the European Economic Area, and the target countries or the partner countries have to be on the OECD DAC list. So we have questions if electronic signatures are accepted. Gottfried?
Not really, because we have electronic signatures from Austrian authorities, but in this case from the private sector. No, you would have for now if you send the application, I mean, you would send a PDF and a signed document. Yeah, that will do for the to submit your application. When it comes to sign the funding agreement, the contract, yeah, then obviously we would have to send you the originals. Yeah.
And another question is, how old may the financial health I think declaration, I think the form is meant, not the declaration. How old may the financial health form be at a maximum?
I think what we try to get is current. We have to check that the current situation of the applicant. That's why we need it from the last 6 months at least. Yeah. So not older.
This is related to the years mentioned in the financial health form. So 2000, for example, 2023, 2022, 2021.
If it is available, yeah, we would like to see the figures from 2023. Definitely from 2022, 2021. Yeah. Hands. There are some hands
Yes.
raised.
There is one more question in the Q&A, and maybe then we can go to the raised hand. This is a question coming back to NGOs. Is it correct to assume that NGOs cannot be lead applicants? For example, the lead applicant must be a private sector company.
No, that's not the case. I mean, if you look at the list of the applicants, it says enterprises as well as voluntary association. That means also NGOs. But I think it's important for NGOs to know that this is under the whole concept is here private doing business, private sector development. I think that's important. Yeah. It's not about doing humanitarian aid in the first place or social. I think this is really important. Yeah. So we have good NGOs and they are doing business partnerships. But I think it's important for the NGOs to consider if they are really, if this is the field of work where they want to be and where they want to work. Yeah. Because mainly it's addressed to private enterprises. Yeah.
Then another question from the F&A, they're coming in now more frequently. If we have a strategic partnership with the unit CSO, so the civil society unit, do we also need to send the financial help form?
It's a very specific question. I don't know if this is an ongoing partnership. I mean, they mean a strategic partnership in the field of what's they called? Civil society organizations.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. We clarified this today. Yes, they do. Yeah. That means that they would have to send us the financial health form. Yeah.
Yeah. Are cost prices for machines products in the project recognized as in-kind against receipts?
This was, I'm sorry, I got in.
Sorry, repeat the question. Are cost prices for machines or products in the project recognized as in-kind against receipts?
Yes, this is what you will find in the general terms and conditions. Yeah. Just give us a minute to get that information. Yeah. Maybe you can continue with other questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Would there be any guarantees required from local participants? The local, as I think Gottfried also said earlier, the local partner can be there are different statuses for the local partner. The local partner can be in the consortium. That means the partner is a consortium member and has to fulfill the same duties as the lead applicant. If the local partner is a sub-grantee, it's depending on what the funding amount is. If they have to submit documents, for example, the financial health form or a registry or whatever. If the local partner is a service provider, then we have to look at the general terms and conditions and under the procurement rules and see, okay, are the do we have our procurement set? Is it the way it should be? Is it the way described in the general terms of conditions?
Coming back to the previous question, was about own goods or equipment
Are cost prices for machines and products in the project recognized as in-kind against receipts?
Is it about the applicant, if the equipment is produced by the applicant? I mean, if
the applicant
because
provides,
this is, I'm not sure. He provides, but I mean, it is. If you look into the general terms and conditions, you can find all the documents and the annexes on. If you if you go to the website where you can find the invitation to the call, then there is this part annexes, and there you have all the documentation. That means the funding agreement as a template, and also the general terms and conditions. There's the point 1, point 3, point 5 regarding the equipment and services produced or provided by the recipient itself, and this equipment may be charged at cost only. Yeah. If this was the question, it's not clear.
I think this was the question, the direction the question was going in. So if the company provides machines or products,
Okay.
it has to be at cost.
Yeah.
And it has to be on a cash basis shown in the budget. Yes. We have some more questions. Coming back to the financial health form and the NGO, if an other organization, not institutional or public funding, just wants to fund but not implement, then we can list them as stakeholders, right? And no financial health form, etc., would need to be sent.
I'm wondering what this would look like. It's a third party that would provide a financial contribution to the project. This is what the
Question is. Yeah, the assumption is we have some sort of business angel or someone who
provides
money
funds for the project. Yeah. And if this business angel, whatever, would be a stake, definitely it would be a stakeholder. But the question is if he would be part of the project consortium.
The question is if they have to show a financial health form or not.
I can't tell you at this point, because if I think this depends very much what would be the role and the responsibility of this donor or of this stakeholder. I mean, if he's providing money for the project, also to help the applicant to get their own contribution, if this is somebody from the private sector, I don't know, a foundation or whatever, I think it would be reasonable that they would be part of the project consortium. Yeah. But I think it's a very specific question. Yeah.
Yes. The next question is it possible to form a consortium as a German company with a Venezuelan enterprise?
Yes, it is. I mean, first we would have to check if Venezuela is still on the list of the OECD DAC recipient. I don't know now. I mean, you would have to check all the basic requirements for this. Yeah. And you would also have to check on the risks. But I think this is also, if you have this partnership between European and local companies, and you're going to sign this consortium agreement or this consortium declaration, yeah, it means that you're also sharing the risks. I mean, I think it's really important for all the applicants to look into this consortium declaration to be sure what type of responsibilities are involved if they are forming a consortium. Yeah.
Yes. So the next question is, can we use envisaged revenues as own contribution?
Envisaged revenues, that means future revenues, revenues that are expected for the future.
This is what I understand as well as
As far
envisaged
as I
revenue.
understand, not really, because we're talking about project. I mean, once the project started, you need the funding, and it's also part of the partner assessment to see if the applicant is financially stable enough to do this type a project of this size. I mean, we're talking of project of budgets between 1 million and 2 million euro. Yeah. So I think, I mean, this would be part of our risk assessment, and as we see, usually we would our assessment would be based on existing funds. Yeah.
Okay, I think these are all the questions I'm currently finding. If there are any more, please. Another one just came in. So we must show proof of these funds. For instance, a project of 1 million euros, I must have 500K in the bank.
I mean, what we do, and if you look into the financial health form, this is more about how your business or your NGO is developing. Yeah. And you will find, I mean, you will need balance sheets. And obviously also, if you have financial stability, I mean, usually you don't have to show that you have 500,000 K on your bank account, because usually you would use this money to work with. Yeah. But it's more to get the whole picture if you are in a stable situation. And this is why we are requesting also information about the last 3 business years. Yeah. So it's not that easy presenting money on a bank account and say we are stable enough to do this. I mean, if you look at the financial health form, yeah, then you will understand that we have to get the bigger picture, how if the company or the applicant is in a good financial shape to carry out the project. It's also about your income situation, your turnover, and so on. Yeah.
The next question is regarding also who eligibility of applicants. A company with a headquarter in the US and a branch in Europe would be eligible. Is this true?
I mean, once again, we have our eligibility criteria, and also in the invitation, it is stated clearly which institutions or companies are eligible. Yeah. And it is clear that they must be registered in the European Economic Area or in Switzerland. Yeah. Definitely, if they are if they're registered outside of this area, they are not eligible. Yeah. And I think in this question there are several institutions mentioned. Yeah. There's some institution based in the US and another one, I don't know, in Iraq, and I think there was a third one. Is that right? Yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
It is a French NGO. Yeah, I mean, if the French NGO is, obviously, if they're registered in France, then they would be eligible. Obviously, we would have to check all the other requirements regarding the financial health form and so on. Yeah. the co-applicant in the Iraq office, and then also a brand of NGO. I mean, I think first of all, what is important for us is we have an applicant, and that is which is registered in the European Economic Area or in Switzerland. This is the most important information. And if you look at the consortiums, then it's also possible to have other partners in the consortium that are not necessarily registered in that area.
Thank you for the clarification, Gottfried. The next question is, does the local partner have to be owned by local stakeholders or by local entities? This is in regard to local ownership as well. The question was posted in German, but I'm trying to translate it in the best way possible.
If it's an obligation, if it's in a requirement that the local partner is
locally owned,
it means by local enterprises or
yeah.
It's not a requirement, yeah. But as a matter of fact, if you look into this, it's more about ownership, local content. Obviously, it would be interesting to have more companies, locally owned companies here on board, yeah. But it's not a requirement, yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting for questions as well. I think we have been we have been going through them rather quickly as well. Just a reminder, if there are questions after the information session, please send them to wirtschaft@ada.gv.at. And we will post them anonymously online. You can see the email address on the screen as well. We will post them online under frequently asked questions under our business partnership call site website as well, and respond to you directly. If you want to have further information on future information sessions, please send us your contact details to wirtschaft@ada.gv.at as well.
Thank you.
Was the last question if the lead applicant should be EU-based or Austria-based? There's no recommendation, yeah. I mean, we have the requirement that the applicant, as I mentioned before, must be registered in the European Economic Area or Switzerland. That means that this goes beyond the EU countries, yeah. Then if they are forming a consortium, then it's also feasible to have another applicant from abroad, from outside of his area, also included in this consortium, yeah. There's, Max, you mentioned before, there's a we would like to encourage Austrian companies to be part of this, obviously, yeah. But there's no preference to say the lead applicant must be Austrian or EU based. No, it's not the case here.
There's another question coming in. Who at ADA will be available to give guidance to an applicant, answer question? Who from our team will do that?
What we can do, I mean, this is the part that this is the part of an open competition, yeah. So that in this setting we can't give specific guidance to a specific project proposal. We are not allowed to do this, yeah. We can take your questions and trying to answer them, yeah. Also to publish the information so that everybody who is involved, all the other interested parties, have the same access to information to do this. So, I mean, mainly it's our team, the people that are here now. It's me, it's Max, Christian, Susi, Ivana. No, we are going to handle this and we are going to work with your applications. Yeah, but we are in this setting. We are not. We don't have the option to give you a specific or personalized feedback on your application. Yeah. So, I mean, what we are going to do is to take your answers, to collect them, and to try to answer them as best as we can. Yeah. So, are there more questions coming in? I'm not sure.
I'm
Yeah.
not seeing. I'm seeing one more question. This is a two-part question. Can the project be implemented in Venezuela or Spain? Can the result of the project implementation be a commercial product or service?
First of all, please take a look at the DAC list for ODA recipient. This is also when you look at the invitation. And if you look, Venezuela is still on the list, but I think there is some footnote, so be careful. It's a very specific question because we didn't have projects in Venezuela in the last years. Yeah, so I think we're going to try to answer this then and to publish the written answer. Yeah, because it seems that there is a specific requirements for Venezuela when we look at the list of the OECD DAC list for ODA recipients. Yeah. That's the point, if it's feasible to implement this project in Venezuela. Second part is if the project can be implemented in Spain, not because Spain is not an ODA recipient country. I mean, what does it mean to implement? What type of measures would be carried out in Spain to implement your project in Venezuela? I mean, this relates more to the project design. But as a matter of fact, Spain is not a target country and wouldn't be eligible as a target country in this call. I mean, obviously, if you're operating from Spain, maybe you would have to take measures or from Spain to do your project in Venezuela. Yeah, that's a different case, but not as a target country.
And the second question is, can the result of the project implementation be a commercial product or service?
The result, a product or a service. I mean, this would be very close to your core business. If you look at the invitation and the requirements, it's more about a systemic approach. It's more about providing support to the business, to the environment you're working in. Yeah, I mean, if you're if it's close related to your business, the question for us is what would be the additional value of this project, which would justify it to get financing from development cooperation. So it's also a specific question. I mean, we would have to know more about your project, yeah, but please take a close look into our requirements, and you can find information in the invitation, yeah, to this call.
As and further information, we have everything published on our website. The questions will be published also on our website and answered. And the call, you can rewatch the call and the answers as well. We will publish everything, all the information in the coming days on the call website and on the call information website. I think if there are no further questions, we will wrap up the session. I hope you you are more informed about the call, and you are ready to send us an application. As mentioned previously, don't hesitate to send us your contact details on wirtschaft@ada.gv.at. We will answer. We will also receive questions there and then post them online. The questions, you can find them on our call site. There will be a link to frequently asked questions, and on the document will continuously be updated also with these questions here today.
If there are no further questions, yeah, thank you very much. We are going to collect all the questions now. We're going to write them down and also to write down our answers, and you will find them then on our website. Yeah, we will assess questions and answers, and if it is necessary, maybe we will organize a second call, but we still can't tell you at this point. This is why it is important to have your contact emails, your email addresses, so that we can inform you if another call is being prepared. In that case, we would be more specific, look at your questions, and maybe focus on specific or difficult areas we identified today. Yeah. So for now, thank you very much for being with us, for your questions. Yeah. I hope it was useful. I mean, I hope you understand that we can't be too specific in this open competition. It's also your being part of this competition among the applicants, but we try as best as we can to explain what is important. So many thanks, and see you soon. Yeah.